am proud of that decision. See, now the panting starts. This is. She'll do this for hours. It's just, she's perfect. It's just energy. If she sees her energy go up and my energy goes up, then hers goes up, and then she's like, and then she's stuck there. I'm teaching her right now that I'm addressing that. That's the thing I don't like. I don't like when your mind goes there, and I don't like when you start breathing really heavy and making those noises. And then after I correct her for that, I bring her mind down to what I do want her to do instead, which is calm and submissive, right? So she triggers, I disagree, bring her to calm and submissive. And then I get her to trigger again by playing the sparkles. That's why sparkles is here. She gets up there, I disagree. Eventually what happens is this situation, she knows that it needs to be calm. So the trigger is actually calmness now, or that's her association of what I want her to do. But in the beginning phases, we have her old reaction, her old association with versus my new expectation. So we're gonna see her fighting it. And that's where vibrating dogs come in and stuff. And then what you're gonna see is calmness will take over. And that's the healing, okay? And we'll do this with everything that she has a bad association with. Therefore, rehabbing the mind. Okay, come on. Come on, good deal. That's right. It's your turn to come over and play. Good. Good. You hear? Whining. Because I've already started to say I don't like it. See, deep breath. This girl needs some rehab, believe it or not. Just because her associations got a little out of whack from the time she was born till now, we're going to catch it, we're going to shape it, but her association to excitement of a human it seems like a stressful kind of excited. You know what I mean? She's definitely not happy. It's but her tail's wagging. It's mixed emotions here, but not healthy. So we're going to help her be chill, and then how to have fun without all that stress and whining, okay? Believe it or not, the answer is taking away options. And just the only thing she ever has to worry about doing is the thing you told her to do. And that takes it away, you know? These poor guys, dogs like this, they have too many options, too much choices, too young. They're not good fit to lead themselves. They get stressed, they get bad associations, and they become a little bit of a mess. Just enough to end up at a program like this, you know? But she's gonna turn around, okay? She's got a great temperament. She's not a bite risk or anything like that, which makes her awesome already. And she's a darling. She's a sweetheart. So, okay, lot to learn now. She's got a lot to learn here. Good girl.
Sparkle's a mess.
Nala. She's the whining, okay? Good girl. This is why I'm going to get, this system works because it's been very predictable. Nala, good. That's nice. That's a good girl. Good. Good. Very nice. This is half the battle right here, is getting the dog. See, I say her name. You guys hear us talk about it all the time. I say her name and she just kind of blindly shoots across the room, starts whining. The name shouldn't mean, see, for her, the name is everything. It's before the cookie. It's before any command. It's before going outside. It's before getting pet. Nala is just, it means everything and nothing now. And it's just this stressful mess. So I say her name and it causes stress. Because what does it mean? I don't know. It means any of these things it could have meant. So what we say is, no, it works the same way as if we're talking to a human. Your name means to look at me because I'm about to give you direction. That's it. We're about to start a conversation. It just means, just look, like you're saying yes. Okay? And so clearing that up, is going to make her a less stressed dog, just for her to understand that I'm not going to enter a conversation with you, so you don't have to worry. Unless I say your name and you look at me, I'll enter a conversation with you. And she'll say, oh, that takes a lot off my back, because now I know when you're talking to me. Okay? Here we go. Nala, you a good girl. See, look, this is great. Nala, good. Break. Come here, darling. That was so nice of you. I thought that was so good. We got her in reality right now. A lot less. I'm trying to listen for it. I really like that. This is another candidate of a dog who's got to live with you. So, like just laying on the bed while I paint a portrait or something, I'm going to be in there for a few hours. I might have to take a dog like this and help her work through it if there's any whining or anything. Or in the transition of getting into the studio versus leaving the studio. We see little problems, and then we can enter the conversation when they come up. Okay. And maybe I'll bring somebody like Sparkle or Izzy's with me for to demo what they're supposed to be doing, you know. She's a younger, how old is she?
1.5 years.
A 1.5 years. Okay, see, I thought she was 6 months because, you know, I'm not great with that, but again, this is immaturity, you know, or she hasn't, you know, hasn't got there yet. So it feels like 6 months.
But it would also explain the level of anxiety. She's had more time to manifest it.
Yep, it's locked in there. It's starting to become associations. And the way that works, guys, in case you're wondering, why does it keep mentioning associations? Because dogs, they don't really think after they learn how to behave in any situation. They go through a situation, you know, like somebody comes to the door and they bark. Maybe they startle and bark. Maybe another dog barks, so they start barking. Either way, they barked. A couple times down the road, they don't know why they're doing it anymore. Their brain goes, that's what I do in this situation. This is my response. So now I'm going to go on autopilot because this is how most dogs behave. And then they do that with everything. So they get into your house, they go through a handful of experiences, they behave the way they do, and then they say, that's how I'm going to behave forever, unless you change it, right? Unless you start disagreeing with it appropriately and consistently. They'll just do it forever. That's what I mean by associations. And your dog gets locked into these associations and it just goes throughout its day being triggered and set off and given very predictable behaviors, the same behaviors usually. Okay? So what we do is we change it. We say, oh yeah, all those things that you do that we don't like, we want your new association, and you don't understand the expectation is for you to be calm and to just relax and take our direction. And it's a state of mind. So instead of hearing knock, knock, knock and going dominant, assertive, or curious and moving forward, any of that stuff where the energy goes up and the dog just heads towards the noise, we're saying, no, relax. Rule number 1, you're not allowed to lift in energy unless we invited it. That's why we created that rule, because we know you can't do any of those other behaviors unless your adrenaline goes up. You can't run across the house, you know, charge a guest. If I'm saying don't even have anything above this energy right here, you're not allowed to enter unless we've offered you to. Okay? That's what's been called state of mind training. That's what a lot of people refer to as state of mind training. Okay? And that's what we do with kids in a schoolroom. They know there's a mentality and there's a certain expectation of how you need to behave in the classroom, right? And when they're sitting in their chairs, they're not supposed to be fussing, they're not supposed to be, you know, full of energy, whispering, talking, passing notes. And we hold them accountable with punishment. And that's the same thing that we're doing here. Okay. Here, before I open it, this, once I open it, is an option. So that there's no coincidence that there's no whining, and then I open it, and then there's whining, right? Or maybe she won't whine because she's starting to generalize. But that's how you would trigger it. You present an option, and then you see the whining. Okay? That's good, but you see that reaction? That one was looking at me. Well, is that for me right now? The human's gonna tell me. And what all I did is said good for looking at me. Like that's the beginning phases, right? Good job for acknowledging that I'm part of this puzzle. Good. You see all this look? And now she's like, well, does good mean I can go out the door? Because they're so new to it, you see all these little moments. She'll find out. Good. Nala. Break. Break. Good. Now. Whining. Can I get out? Can I go up a look? Do you see how we're able to create the dog's issues? Everything they're struggling with that everyone's complaining about, all the symptoms, the pulling, the jumping, the not listening, all that stuff, this is it right here. I found the problem. I'm showing you the problem. I'm shining a light on it's a state of mind issue. It's an association issue, right? I'm saying this is how she's behaving towards things she wants. This is how she's behaving when she's being confronted by a human. And I'm trying to tell her those are all wrong reactions. This is how you react. That's why when we're done, she feels better when somebody comes over and handles her. She'll feel like a good dog, even though I didn't sit here and, train her on particular commands. I'm teaching her what's the proper mindset, how do you get throughout this world with humans and in a pack of dogs appropriately, how should you behave. And then when that part's done, then we add the training on top of that, and we find very good results, okay? Training on a dog before you do this foundation of behavior work, that's where you get a dog who knows what they're doing, but they still don't listen, or they complain about it, and they're just fussy. And if you let that go on for years, your dog will never be as good as it could have been if you didn't let it go on. They'll get better through training, but they'll never be as good as they would have been if they never went down the wrong road to begin with. Okay, here we go. 1, 2. Nala. Break. Let's go. And then come. Good. Yes. Sparkles. Here. Sparkles. That's my girl. Come on. Good girl. Nice work. You a good girl? No, look, she's free. This is where the one. New skill? See what I mean? It's a back and forth in the beginning. The old way versus the new expectation. Okay? But she chose it. And she chose it quick. Now watch. Now if she starts to whine, I'll disagree with it. Can you see it's the free time? And then you're like, damn, it's free time that's causing all this stress. What's the answer? It's like less free time, more structure until the dog's completely over this stuff. And then introducing freedom paired with good judgment. So a dog knows how to behave on their own. That's raising the dog. That's getting them there, okay? We're not gonna raise her fully, but we're gonna give her all the skills she needs to go home and continue this. That's a good girl. Now what makes a lab a little bit easier like her is she's not gonna bite me. When she gets nervous or when she gets whatever, she's just not even thinking about biting, which is awesome. And it's a miracle, So we can work her quicker through this stuff because she's not going to hurt herself, she's not going to hurt us, she's not going to hurt dogs. She's just going to learn and move forward. Shh, Sparkle. See, that's the tap dancing. This is good. Sparkle's helping. How much more quiet is that? When you're sitting here trying to do office work or you're just trying to live and you got tick-tack, 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 you don't realize how much stress it's actually accumulating, at least for a guy like me. I don't know. All the noise, and then you get the panting, and then you get and then on top of that, and that's just a dog behaving, that's just a dog. They're not even being pushy. Then you get a dog who's pushy and they're starting to whine and yelp and kind of nudge you along through your day, and nah. Okay? We need to reset the way they think. That's good. Any whining in the kennel? That's good. That's good, good.
No, she was so easy.
See, isn't it interesting though, that in the kennel, so I'm assuming she knows there's just no way out. She just doesn't believe there's a way out. So there's no stress. So there's no whining. As soon as she's in a room with this like door open, toys over there, couch, this over this, yeah, then it's and that's simply because she's always been able to do anything within sight whenever she had the thought, she was able to do the action. And then when you start to say, oh, new way of living, permission based, you can't do anything unless ask, and you ask the dog to just kind of hold still, you see whine. Okay, so structure, baby. But Josh, I can't add structure if my dog doesn't listen. And I say, I got you, I get it. That's why this stuff comes first, the behavior stuff, okay? Now you can train by using the actual commands as the conversation to gain authority over your dog. You can say sit. This isn't anything new, this is old school stuff. You can say sit and the dog says, huh? And then you just say, pop, sit, figure it out, right? And the dog finally sits and you say good, right? What we're doing now is I'm not necessarily telling them to sit down or anything like that. I'm just saying less informal, like stay. I don't know, sit down, whatever, but just don't move. There's that one, and then there's come. That is definitely a command that's the number one thing that we're going to be using because we need to get the dog to us. And we're using the beep on the collar and the word come for recall. So we got a dog understanding that we have a way to say stay. And we have a way to say, come. That we need. On top of that, I'm going after mind. I'm saying, I'm bringing them amongst the pack. So now I can move them with the pack, and I can also have them stay with the pack. And they start to learn what I'm disagreeing with. Certain parts of the way you're thinking don't fly. And that's what we address. And so we're gonna use a stay, we're gonna use recall, and then we're gonna use probably a go, like get out of here. Something that I can tell the dog to leave the situation. And then once the dog starts getting that, I can get a little bit more specific. I can take, only because of the noise for the video. I can then take the recall and start making it a little bit of a follow on the leash, a heel, right? So now I have this dog who has a foundation based off from its behavior, okay? And how it's supposed to behave in common situations with humans and how to take direction and the mindset and all this stuff has now been taken care of and geared in the direction where it's ready to now have training on top of that, the 5 basic commands to then be layered on top of that, more reps, just complementing what I've already done. And then at the end, we have our Julie's Canine Academy, dog training. It looks a little bit different, it feels a little bit different. And we like to think that it's more reliable because we take that time to go into the behavior, right? So, that's why Nala's here with me right now. She's gone through that, and I'm glad she's here because a lab you think isn't going to have any issues, but a lot of the times, they're animals just like anybody else. As soon as you pop them in a house and you wait 6 months to a year, in her case, 1.5 years, before you start this stuff, they get the bad associations, and now they're just on repeat. And it's at the very least, it's stressful for the dog and annoying for the owner. At the worst, it's dangerous for the dog and for the owner. So. Okay, I'm gonna close this door. She learned something. Can you see that? I hope you can see that she used what I taught her, but I taught her it less like a human. That's another thing about when we do this. When I enter this type of training, right? This type of behavioral stuff. It's like a behavioral assessment and adjustment, making them more domesticated and finding out where they stand on the spectrum of dogs to see if they're a good fit for their house or not. Just to be able to tell the owner, this is what you got as an animal. This comes first. And when I'm doing this, I have to talk more like a dog and less like a human. You understand? I have to use more body language and less verbal, and I have to disagree in the ways that they would disagree. That's why you see me using my hands, the dog whispering techniques, because I don't have to explain that, okay? I have to explain what place means. I have to explain what sit means and all this stuff. So it's hard to have those conversations because you have to teach too. We're entering conversations where we don't have to teach, okay? As little as possible, I have to teach. and I'm going off on what a dog naturally already knows. The only thing I really have to worry about teaching as a trainer while I'm doing this is the ecollar, because this is the tool. So I'm constantly integrating this into the experience in a way that the dog understands it's me. Okay? That's the only thing that I really have to, that's kind of artificial to the dog, or should I say they don't understand it. You hit them on an e-collar, they don't know who did it, where it came from. They have to understand it was me. So I am the first one in this company to introduce the meaning of the stim. What's the association to the stim? And that's very important too, because there's the association and flip out and freak out, because that's not going to be good. And that's probably the natural. That's probably what it is if there was no proper introduction, right? They're going to learn it's a human disagreeing with an action, and it also means to stop what you're doing and relax, okay? And look at your owner, because they're going to give you direction. And that's what we have to go through, and that's the domestication part. That's the clearing up the communication gap, and that's making this tool the way that you can physically correct a dog, or just get its attention, or beep it on the collar for a recall without having to touch it, so it's safer. I have to do all the dog whispering stuff with the e-collar to get the message across appropriately. Okay? All right, so that's what we're doing here today, long-winded version. Very interesting stuff to me. To me, it's very interesting work. And so, it's refreshing working with a lab, I have to say. Hey, complaining. Okay, we're gonna wrap this up. Watch here, okay? This is where I need Izzy, because she's so good at being released that she gets every dog to release. No. Break. Good girl. Good job. And look, she's starting to realize it doesn't mean we're going right into an activity. This is the beginning. This is a good girl.